The growing outrage over the Uvalde massacre and the police response. ABC's Aaron Katersky joins us. And Aaron, you went through the state's active shooter training manual, and it makes clear the first priority is to move in and confront the attacker.
Exactly. As soon as possible, Janae, to neutralize the threat. And that didn't happen. And that's part of the building anger that we've seen in the days since those 19 kids were killed at school. That anger is focused on the shooter and his weapon, but also the response of police who waited to intervene. This morning, as the nation grieves with the people of Uvalde, it also channels their outrage. Calls for change are growing louder after 21 people were killed in the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School.
My heart just sank. It seems like a dream or a nightmare, you know. It's something that we probably will never get over.
How many more cycles of this does humanity have to have? I've been hearing this almost what feels like every 2 years.
All police officers in Texas schools must take active shooter training, and it is explicit. The first priority, the manual says, is to move in and confront the shooter. Now, students nationwide are staging walkouts demonstrating against school violence and the lack of action on gun control reform. And just 300 miles from Uvalde, the NRA convening in Houston, drawing protesters from all sides.
I think it's in our God-given rights to be able to protect ourselves.
The 18-year-old Uvalde suspect bought his gun legally, but this morning, law enforcement sources told ABC News investigators have found nothing to explain why he attacked on Tuesday or what made Robb Elementary the target. The FBI is working to recover video so investigators can understand whether police conduct cost lives.
We've had lessons learned from past incidents. We just can't have the breakdowns, and unfortunately, that's what happened. There's got to be an absolute guarantee that we are here to keep your children safe.
And on top of it all, there are copycat threats all across the country after a 16-year-old threatened to attack this school. He was arrested, spent the night in jail. The prosecutor called it a cautionary tale. Whit?
Cautionary tale. So many lessons learned, too, as well. All right, Aaron Katersky for us. Thank you. I want to bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who will be hosting This Week later on this morning. John, good morning. It's always great to have you. So let's start there with today. President Biden making his second visit now to the scene of a mass shooting in less than 2 weeks. But beyond offering comfort to another grieving community, what can Biden actually do to address this epidemic of gun violence in America?
Well, first, the president will be traveling to Uvalde. He's going to meet in private with the families of the victims from Robb Elementary School. We will see some of him, but I don't expect we're going to hear very much from him on this trip. This is a private time to mourn with those families. In terms of what can be done, it feels like we've been through this over and over and over again because we have. And in this case, what the White House is saying is that Congress is what Congress needs to act. Congress needs to act on gun safety, on combating mass violence like this, gun violence. It's Congress that needs to act. There's very limited powers from the White House view that the president himself has.
And John, on that point, White House calling on Congress to do something about gun reform here. We know that on your show later this morning, you're going to have Democratic Senator Chris Murphy on the show. He's meeting with some Republicans to discuss possible solutions. Any signals, though, that this time could be different and that something could actually pass on guns?
Well, look, it's hard for me to say that, as I remember vividly covering the wake of the Sandy Hook massacre and the bipartisan talks that came out of that, and ultimately nothing was done. Parkland, same thing, different president, different Congress, but also no results. In terms of this, they are looking at things like background checks, improving background checks, red flag laws. But keep in mind, in this case and in the Buffalo case, neither one of these 18-year-old shooters had a criminal background that would have necessarily prevented them from buying a gun, no matter how extensive the background checks were, or diagnosed evidence of mental illness. But one factor I think that you should look to be addressed, which has not really been a part of the conversation, is raising the minimum age to buy a long gun, to buy something like an AR-15. Right now, you can buy that at 18. You can't buy a handgun until you're 21, but you can buy these weapons of war when you turn 18.
We actually heard from some people at that NRA convention who seemed open to that idea, too. So we'll see what happens. John Carl Forrest, thank you so much. Just a reminder, tune in to This Week later on this morning for more on the Uvalde shooting. Again, John Carl goes one-on-one with Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut about what the Senate could do about gun reform, plus Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger on whether his party could support some new restrictions.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.